I'd like to call our June 12th meeting to order. Pastor Short, could you please come forward from Second Place Church and do our invocation?
Father, we know there's power in unity, in a united front. And Lord, I ask that, God, if there's any unforgiveness that is in the hearts of the people, Lord, even this evening, that they work through that. And we ask you, Lord, to bring unity of heart and purpose. And we ask you to bless the interaction tonight. We pray, God, that your wisdom and your insight would be done. And we just commit this evening to you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Could you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Blue? Yes. Trustee Gonzalez?
Here.
Trustee Horn?
Here.
Trustee Razik?
Present.
Trustee Wilson?
Here.
Trustee Udris?
Here.
Okay. I would ask for open to the public. Any comments you want to make about our upcoming agenda, please step forward. And by the way, it's nice to see that many people out there.
It is.
Okay, no one's coming forward, so we'll go to the consent agenda. Could I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the consent agenda? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to the clerk's report. Tanisha?
Thank you, Mayor Pop. I have a couple of things to report. One, I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that all of the department heads and officials that needed to complete the Statement of Economic Interest has been completed, so we are compliant with the Will County. Also, we have our Love in Action Monee that will be taking place July 27th through August 3rd at Fireman's Park and throughout Monee. If anyone needs any help around the home, whether it be, painting, cleaning, minor home repair, please contact Kelly Detlef, and that's at 708-415-6656. I also will have some of these printed out and at the front, so if anyone wants to pick it up, you can fill out the forms and we can make sure that they pick those up. They just want to make sure that if there's any needs that we have in the village, that they are able to be fulfilled and completed during that week. They also will have their sharing care from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. where they'll be given free food, free haircuts, free dental, health screenings, free clothes, free books, job fair, and blood drive. And also there's a cookout and concert from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that's, of course, free food and activities, fun inflatables, everything while supplies last. And you can contact them for that as well. Also, the Joliet Slammers, the Monee Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring their 10th annual Monee Family Baseball Night. That will be Saturday, July 20th, 2019 from 6:05 p.m. The gates open, of course, at 8. Well, it says the gates open. That's incorrect. Okay, so 6:05 p.m. And tickets are $10 per person. They're reserved seating, so you can contact Lee with the Monee Chamber of Commerce at 708-421-1786 or Diana at Parks and Rec at 708-534-8302. They're also available here at the Village Hall. Last thing I wanted to also let everybody know, I participated with the district equity audit for our school district CM201U, as well as the IB panel that they had. I just wanted to make sure I report on that because a lot of people are, kind of deterred or wondering what's going on with the school district. So I believe that they are trying to go in the right direction to try and see what things are going on and try and correct some things. So if there's any further information, I'll make sure to report that in the report.
Thank you, Denisha. Under my report, I'm doing some committee assignments. I'm rotating a few of the trustees. The new assignments will be as follows. Scott Uris, you'll go to Buildings. Michael Wilson, you'll be Parks and Rec. Anthony Razak, Economic Development. Janet Blue, you're staying on Finance. That's a very involved committee to be on, very important, and I think you learned a lot this year, so we're going to have you do it again. That's the way I'd like it to be. And then Heidi, you'll stay on Public Safety, and Doug Horn will go to DPW. So that'll be the new committee assignments, and I ask you to talk to two trustees to form your committee, and I would hope that a trustee doesn't overburden themselves with more than two committees, because that works out perfect balance-wise. If the chair of the committee gets two other trustees, that works out well. But we all know that we're all welcome to a committee meeting, so that being said. The other thing I have on my report, it's not on yours. I wrote it in because it's something I wanted to deal with. It was a little tenuous when we talked about gaming last time it came up in front of the board. And it's me. I've decided, due to, let me even say, a couple of businesses approaching me, and I would like the Finance Committee to work on a gaming ordinance along with Larry, our lawyer, and have some meetings on that so we can come up with some type of a, I'll call it a system right now. Like we could say, okay, maybe we want to do it by population, and maybe we're saturated. Something like that, A lot of other suggestions I'm sure will be made, but that's one of them I think of, okay, that we could work with. So that's the end of my report. So we'll move on to the administrator's report. David?
Thank you, Mayor. Before you, you have on the agenda item H1 is a TIF number 5 payout request. The village is in receipt of a request for payment from TIF number 5 on behalf of Amazon.com Services, Inc. The request is in the amount of $810,009.32, which represents 80% of the increment generated, and it is in accordance with the redevelopment agreement, which was dated June 8th, 2016. Should be noted that the 2017 property taxes, which were payable in 18, have been paid in full, so that substantiates this request. The action requested this evening would be a motion to authorize the payment in the amount of $810,009.68 to Amazon.com Services, Inc. Actually, let me make a correction. That's $810,009.32.
32.
Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razak?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Item H2 on the agenda is has to do with the auditing firm contract. The audit for fiscal year 2018 represented the last year of our contract with Whipfly, which was our past auditor. Finance Department sent out a request for proposal to 5 firms that fit our requirements. 3 of those firms replied to the RFP, which you have before you. 3 firms replied are Whipfly, Lauterbach and Amon, and Sikich. The results of those replies you find before you on the agenda item. And each of those firms offered fiscal year 2022 and fiscal 2023 as options to a 3-year contract, subsequently making it available for 5 years. After a careful review, Finance Director Daryl Bulliner and after examining all facets of the auditing process being considered, and recommendation is to award the initial 3-year auditing contract to Lauterbach and Amon with the option for the 2 additional years. The proposals were available for review in the Finance office. At this point, I'd like to ask Finance Director Bulliner to make any comments that he needs in support of this action.
Good evening, first of all. We did issue out five RFPs. We did receive 3 back. When considering the auditing firm, we were looking at cost as well as familiarity with municipal auditing. Not in that order, of course, but we did feel that Lauterbach and Amon had a familiarity with the village of Monee as they do our police pension. So it seems to be the obvious thing to combine the two, get a respectable price for those services, and move on from that point. We had been with Whiffley for 5 years, and in auditing, you like to kind of rotate auditors to kind of get a different perspective. So we felt a need to go out and do so. If there's any questions, I'd be willing to take any.
Yeah, I was just wondering what was wrong with Sickage, because they were about, over the next 5 years, it'd be $25,000 cheaper.
Right. With we did not consider cost to be the only driving force. We didn't want to say whoever's the cheapest, that's who we're going to go with. We looked at their familiarity with municipal auditing. Lauterbach and Amon sent and provided a long list of audits that they performed in our area, nearby with municipalities similar to us, so they seem to fit the bill better.
So you said Lauterbach, they do the police pension as well?
Yes, sir.
So is this price point for both them to combine?
That is correct, Jess.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, Darrell.
Thanks, Darrell.
So, Mr. Mayor, the action requested this evening is to award the auditing contract to Lauterbach and Amon for an initial 3-year term with the option of an additional years 4 and 5 per the above pricing schedule you have before you.
Can I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make the, I'll second it.
Second? Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Razik,
Yes.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Thank you. And the last item is not an agenda item other than just strictly a comment from the administrator's office here. And that has to do with the recent legislative action that has taken place in Springfield. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about that later in the board meeting. But one important thing that I just want to highlight for everyone, you'll hear about it a lot more in the upcoming, but prior to the upcoming general election in 2020 there, is the fair tax amendment for a constitutional amendment to impose a fair tax. Whether you're for it or against it, I just would like to say it's very important when you're dealing with the Constitution of the state of Illinois. Your vote does count. School yourself on that and vote the way that you see fit, but it is worth taking the time when they open up the Constitution to give it some due diligence and due consideration on that. So I thank you for that, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, David. I'll move on to the officials' report. Public Works, Michael?
Yes, Mayor. This week, Department of Public Works will be larviciding. Also, Friday and Saturday, we'll begin mosquito spraying at dusk, so weather permitting. So also, branch pickup is currently taking place. Next month, branch pickup will be July 9th through the 11th. Also, I had the opportunity to attend the newly elected officials meeting this past Saturday. It was very informative and also made some connections with the local officials in the area. So it was good time well spent. End of report.
Thank you, Michael. And we'll move on to Parks and Recs, Trustee Horn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Want to let you know about the summer activities in the park, and we have a lot of summer programs for all ages, including British soccer camps, Skyhawks, multiple sports camps, which has a different sport to try out every week during the summer. science classes, art, knitting classes, and more. Registration can be done at the Parks Building or Village Hall. To learn more about these programs, go to our website, villageofmonee.org. And then we also, in addition to that, I should say, on Monday nights, we have, I guess it would be 2 more Monday nights, we have swing dance lessons from 7 to 8. And then in conjunction with that, we have the second annual family swing dance at Fireman's Park. That's on Saturday, June 29th, from 7 to 11 p.m. Now, the first hour is a lesson, and then dancing from 8 to 11. It's a free event for the whole family. There will be a food truck there. There'll be a coffee for sale, coffee drinks for sale. So that should be a good event. Kids Day will be held on Saturday, July 13th from 10 a.m. to noon, which will include jumpy houses, face painting, slip and slide, touch a truck, police rodeo, and more. End of report.
Thank you, Doug. We'll move on to finance. Trustee Blue.
Thank you, Mayor. As you've heard, we did have an audit request and did consider 3 bids, so I'm not going to talk about that because Mr. Wallace stole my thunder. But the good news from the Finance Committee's perspective, the budget, also known as the Appropriations Ordinance, was filed with the county on May 17th. We did really well as a village financially last year. Our pre-audit expenses were around 95%, and our revenue surpassed expectation at 107% of budgeted revenue. I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Wallace, your staff, and to Mr. Bolena for all the work you do, especially the department heads as well, to stay within our budget. I know you keep a really close eye on it if we're getting close to it, but great job, really great job, and certainly, once again, you've kept us in the black, so I appreciate that. End of report.
Thank you, Janet. We'll move on to economic development. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first thing that I had our clerk mentioned, and I wanted to just mention again, and that's the Joliet Slammers game coming up on July 20th. Great community event. Another piece from the chamber, and I don't know if Dave Short is still here. The chamber had some information that they passed on to me for a global leadership summit that's coming up August 8th and 9th. It's going to be held at Second Place Church. This is a leadership summit that is going to provide all kinds of leadership training, not only for business owners, but for anybody that has any kind of a leadership responsibility, whether that's home, work, school, church, or just even in your community. They are looking for any business owners that would like any kind of exhibit space. Information for that is available on the Chamber of Commerce website. Another thing I'd like to bring up, Workforce Center of Will County on Thursday, July 18th at Peatone High School is going to be having a job fair. That's going to be from 1 to 4 p.m. And again, our economic development department has been extremely busy. You'll see tonight on the agenda that we do have Thornton's on the agenda, and I'm going to ask Kevin Daly had a couple things he'd like to share with us.
Good evening. Like you all know, we've been working towards a deal with Thornton's for some time. This board has taken actions to advance that project. Special use, variance, later entering into an intergovernmental agreement with the County of Will in order to facilitate a turn lane variance. And in doing that, we, as the village, are obligated to share in half the cost of the overall improvement cost to making improvements on Monee Manhattan Road. In this negotiation with Thornton's, from the start, we've had a lot of trust, a lot of cooperation, and it was all been in good faith. In doing so, we've really been able to deliver a deal for you all that provides a real win-win-win in the sense that the village is going to do quite well with this project. Thornton's is very excited to commence the project if approved. And in negotiating the deal, we have, Thornton's agreed to put forward the village's share of the project cost for the Phase 1 engineering, which we need to expend this year in order to advance that project. So it's really doing a lot. Shows what working together does, and I think it's an exciting project for the village. So beyond Thornton's, you all may be aware that there was a quite productive end of session in Springfield, one that we haven't seen probably in my lifetime in terms of the volume of legislation passed. To get aside from any partisan beliefs one may have, what the impacts of their actions mean to the village of Monee is a lot of projects that are going to benefit the Southland as a whole in terms of providing job opportunities, providing investment in the communities, providing additional complementary development opportunities. And among them, there's a South Suburban Casino that's been carved out, a Racino, which is a new racetrack that will provide gaming opportunities at the casino. Those will be in South Cook, but they are still within our trade area. And the revenue sharing for municipalities in those, on those projects, the village of Monee has been included. So we are going to see benefit from it. It's not just new projects that are increasing revenues for the state. It took bipartisan votes to pass a lot of the legislation, and in order to get the bipartisan support from both sides, there were some concessions made to accommodate the desires of the GOP caucus, and among them were some tax credits for developers to entice greater developments, and also the elimination of the franchise tax. So it's an exciting time. It seems like we've got a lot of things lined up that will help to advance the momentum that we already have. So that's about all I have right now.
Kevin, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Kevin.
Anybody have any comments? Kevin, you did a great job with that. People understood your English, I think. Okay, we'll move on to building services. Anthony?
Yes. I have a few things tonight. For the month of May, Building Services received 64 permit applications representing approximately $2,942,382 in work value. 11 homes were scheduled for resale inspections. Northbound Ridgeland Avenue is finished paving. Striping is in process, anticipating the opening of the road by the end of the week, weather permitting. Civil engineering plans have been submitted for a new commercial building on Ridgeland Avenue, south of Monee, Manhattan. And finally, Thornton's final engineering review has been received along with the building plans. End of report.
Thank you, Anthony. We'll move on to public safety. Heidi Gonzalez.
Okay, a couple things too, but the first one is going to be a point of clarification. Sergeant Cash, on Kids Day, I assume that you're doing the Monee PD bike rodeo. There will be no bull riding or any kind of riding. It's a bike rodeo, right?
Oh, come on. Come on, sorry.
Right. Just wanted to make sure. And just a couple other things, that we're moving forward with the Project Blue Eye, that they're expect delivery soon from the manufacturer and should be able to implement in the next 30 days. So I think I saw Elizabeth walk in. Congratulations and thank you. And Chief Kerner and Sergeant Cash recently attended Gulf Vista Homeowners Association, an informal exchange that gave the PD an opportunity to touch base with that part of our community. So we're working also with several local businesses to assure proper employee training and conduct during an emergency. So thank you, Monee PD, for doing all that.
It was our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Okay, we'll move on to attorney's report.
Thank you,
Larry?
Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I got 7 items for the board's consideration. The first item is the annual prevailing wage ordinance. It should be noted that as of the January 1st, those wages will be published automatically on the Department of Labor website. I believe it has not been so published. I would still pass this ordinance, subject to getting the verification from the Department of Labor. What the state's trying to do is streamline this, have it automatic so we don't have to get it published every year like we used to, but I would still have it on the books just in case, and then when it we see the wages, we can attach it to the ordinance. But this streamlines us for not having to publish it and send it to the Department of Labor, but it's up for the board's review and consideration.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Yeah. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
1917.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next item for the board's review and consideration is an ordinance amending Title V, Chapter 3, Section 28, relative to activities on detention ponds. Pursuant to the board's directive, I amended the ordinance to meet the wishes of the majority of the board. It's up for the board's review and consideration.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? I'd just like to say this is one of our long-winded ordinances. We've really done a lot of work on it, so roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
1918.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next item is an ordinance repealing Title 11, Chapter 6, Section 2. This deals with swimming pool regulations, I believe it is, and it's already been covered in a previous ordinance that we adopted. I believe it's the building code. We just don't want a conflict between the terms. Therefore, this ordinance would repeal the current restrictions in Title 11, Chapter 6, Section 2.
Have a motion on this, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not,
Larry, can
Heidi?
you remember just a couple words or exactly what is being repealed and replaced? Is there any just certain verbiage in here that's being replaced or the entire thing?
I'll leave that to
Okay. Mr. Wallace?
Yes, it is. It is our municipal code that covered swimming pools and so forth. And when we adopted the international code for swimming pools and spas, that has all the codes in it. And in order to avoid a conflict, we do not want codes in two different places. So it is, with the international code being much more diverse, it's better that we repeal our code.
Thank you.
any other questions? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
1919.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next item is a proposed amendment to the redevelopment agreement by and between the Village of Monee and Mays Q House LLC. If the board recalls, we entered into a redevelopment agreement back in July of 2017 relative to the redevelopment of the facility at 25655 South Governor's Highway. I believe the gentleman from Mays is here tonight to answer any questions the board may have. The developer has previously asked for an extension on two different occasions with respect to the time frame for not only funding but completion of the facility. The facility was supposed to be complete at this point in time on May 31st, 2019. They are now requesting a third extension to, I believe, November 1st, 2019. It's up for the board's review and consideration. Again, the gentleman is here tonight to answer any questions they may have.
Motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Second.
Discussion.
I have a question.
Would you please come forward?
Lamar. Mr. Lamar?
Could you please come forward, sir? Thank you. I figured they're going to have a couple questions. Could be wrong.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Lamar. Thank you for being available for questions. So we're expecting this to be completed by the 1st of November this year.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Are we under any obligation to make the timeline finite? Not that I'm suggesting we do, but are we under any obligation to do that?
That was the request of the developer. We did not set this timeline.
Okay, all right. That was my only question.
Okay.
May I ask you one question, sir?
Sure, not a
Just
problem.
so, for the board's clarification, I believe you submitted a loan application. Has that application been previously filed or just recently?
A few weeks ago. So we just got the letters of intent today. So from 2 different banks.
Did they give you an idea how long it take to?
That's the timeline's coming really more so from the banks and closing within, I think they said 60 to 90 days.
Okay.
So with that being said, there is no guarantee that this could be approved. Is that correct?
Not 100%, no, but it's looking good because we do have 2 and a third, really, but they haven't sent their.
The reason I asked the question is it's 2 years now, just about, since
Yes.
we talked about this, you know.
Yeah.
And we really weren't sure what was going on. So,
Well, by us being a startup restaurant, it's really hard to find
Sure.
financing for a
Yeah,
startup business,
sure.
especially a restaurant. So it's been a fight. So we've been digging and plugging. Plus, we have the other restaurant, the small place that we just use for the food truck. So we're trying to just get enough data to give to the banks so they can.
I know, Larry, am I correct? You've talked with their lawyer a little bit?
Your Honor, I talked to Mr. Dillon. You still have Mr. Dillon?
Yes.
Probably, not recently, maybe 6, 7 months ago, very good attorney. I can reach out to him again, but I know he has been representing you before in the past, and I believe.
Yeah, and we keep him informed pretty much of everything, so.
Oh, I'd like to ask you, if you would, if you get approval on the loan, could you please call Village Hall, ask for Mr. Wallace, and let him know that it's been
Immediately.
approved?
I sure will. That's
Okay?
not a problem.
I'm not here every hour. That's why I mentioned him.
Okay,
I think I can understand a yes or no, though, okay?
okay.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
No, we're very
Yes, ma'am.
excited about it.
Yes, good luck.
Yeah,
All right.
I do.
right,
Mr.
thank-
Cato, just one question. I know you've been busy, but is your lease still intact that would cover the premises that was mentioned in the redevelopment agreement extension, as well as the time frame for the redevelopment? I believe that is a 5-year period, if I'm not mistaken. Is
That's
that
correct, but I still need to touch bases with the owner of the liquor store and re-update and do some amendments to a new lease. So we'll make sure we're going to try to work on that this week so we can get it to you guys.
Once that's complete, would you be so kind to forward a copy of that?
I sure will.
To the village? That way it's takes care of our file.
Sure,
on that.
not a problem.
Thank you so much.
I think you know how we feel. We want you to get in.
Oh, I know you do.
But we also, with a third extension, we're beginning to say, what is going on here, okay?
Well, like I said,
So-
it's just hard that
Well,
a startup business like that.
sure.
from
Well, I
the-
appreciate you coming before us, okay?
Oh, no, not a
So
problem.
we get a clearer picture. It's still a little muddy, but we'll
Oh, we'll
work
take
with
care of
it.
it.
Anybody else have any questions? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there's no other discussion, I need an approval on this, do I not? Larry? To extend?
Motion to authorize the mayor to execute on behalf of the Village of Monee.
Okay, is there a second? All those in favor? Janet, do you understand? You look puzzled. It's
Okay,
all right.
wait. So, okay, so we already had a motion and a second.
On the table.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So-
I'm sorry. So we're looking for approval now, period. Yes or
Yes.
no vote? Sorry about that.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Razik.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Good.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor and the village clerk to execute a redevelopment agreement with Thornton's LLC. I know Kevin's talked about the work that has transpired with respect to negotiations with Thornton's. I believe Drew is here tonight from Thornton's to answer any questions the board may have. Briefly, with the pertinent terms of the agreement are, it's in the TIF district. They are asking for reasonable reimbursement from the TIF district. This note would be not more than $1,349,694. Through Kevin and Mr. Wallace's efforts, there is no interest assigned to this note. It's only real estate tax is being pledged as opposed to sales tax, so it's basically a pay-as-you-go TIF. If they perform, they'll be paid. If they don't perform, there's no payment. There's no general obligation behind this obligation. Once again, just like Mr. Wallace did tonight with Amazon, if they perform like they're supposed to, they'll get their payout. If they don't, there's no obligation to the village. And they did limit the number of payments to 12 years. They feel within that 12-year period of time, that note would be satisfied in full. Construction will commence, they're anticipating, I don't want to put words in Drew's mouth, but tomorrow, right?
Sure.
Well, we know you want to do it quickly, too.
That got him going. Hopefully by end of this year, they will put up plans are to put up another restaurant in that area. I believe a freestanding building of a nice quality. They did need some incentive from the village. It seems more than reasonable, but it is up for the board's review and consideration.
Could I have a motion on this, please?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have some comments here, Mr. Mayor. So this is pretty much a rearguard action on my part, but I want to go on record saying I'm going to vote against this ordinance for the simple reason that every resident of the village of Monee who lives on the west side of I-57 has been against this from the very beginning. Now, does some type of fueling center need to make sense on that site? Absolutely, I would agree with that. This is not the one. The fact of the matter is that we tend to be mesmerized by any developer that comes to us and proposes a project. We are becoming known as a village of truck stops and warehouses. I would argue that this board needs to be proactive and have a vision for what development we want to bring to Monee.
Is that the end of your comments, Douglas?
The end of my comments.
Any other discussion on this?
I would just like to say, and I can offer, I understand where Doug's coming from. I personally think having a truck stop like this on the west side is going to do more to ease congestion in that area than it is going to be to harm it. I can also speak from experience into where I work over in Shanahan. A couple of years ago, Thornton's put up a very similar truck center over there. During construction, there were no issues in that area. We were able to get in, get out without any problem. In the couple years that they've been open, it's been very well maintained. The people that they employ in there are extremely nice. They get to know the people in the community. So I personally am very in favor of this. End of my comment.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to add to Trustee Udis and just refer back to Trustee Horn's comments. I agree that living on the west side, some people, and I have spoken to some people, I haven't, like you, spoken to every person who lives on the other side of 57, but the people I've spoken to, I've had negative responses to that. But I agree with Trustee Udris in that it will ease some of the congestion. It will bring much needed revenue into the village. We must socialize in different circles, because very few of the people I talk to in the village call this a haven for truck stops. So I think we want to encourage business, not every business, as we've talked about in past board meetings, but I certainly agree with Trustee Udris in that this is an ad for the village, and every single decision we make is not going to make every single person happy. So I support this decision.
And if just a couple words from me too, because I'll have the last word, sorry. And I'd like to piggyback on what Doug had said, that we don't want to be known as a village who just basically says yes to development. But we do know that we need, for lack of a better term, big box, that we need high profile people to come and enjoy our village. With Thornton's coming in, that is one more that we can add to the box. That being said, this board, I think we need to have another conversation about doing a development plan for 5 and 10 and 15 years, because we want to plan what our village looks like and not having to say yes to everybody that comes in. End of my comments.
Anyone else?
Mayor, if I may, I believe that having a truck stop on the west side of the I-57 would alleviate some of the congestion that we currently have, especially since it's all isolated to the east side. The revenue that's going to generate and the other storefronts, the real estate, the fuel tax is good for the village. But as Trustee Gonzalez said, we got to be conscious of what we look like in the future. I believe once we get this Thornton's on the west side, I think we should start looking at other alternatives and what we want to be known for, because unfortunately right now it's coming down to the truck stops and also the warehousing, which we're going to be landlocked here shortly if we keep going in that route. End of comments.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Michael. Anyone else? If not, roll call. Anthony?
There's nothing else to cover.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
No.
1920.
Thank you, Mayor. The last two items is a resolution authorizing the execution of the local public agency agreement with respect to roadway improvements. We need authorization to execute the same. Do you?
Yes, Attorney Gruchewski, this has to do with the ability to use motor fuel tax dollars for the completed payment of Egyptian Trail. The board, those of you who are on the board may recall that I believe it was back in maybe 2015 or 16, a similar resolution was passed. At that time, motor fuel tax dollars ended up not being used. The project was prolonged and so forth. And IDOT is requesting a refreshed resolution that authorizes the use of motor fuel tax by this board. And you will see that the next item on the agenda is the actual resolution for the actual resolution requesting the use, IDOT's approval of the use of motor fuel tax. So it all has to do with the Egyptian Trail project, and we're getting close to closing that out now.
Do we have any motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
2019-2.
Thank you, Your Honor. And the last one, in connection with what Mr. Wallace just indicated, there's a resolution for improvements under the Highway Code. This is for the reconstruction of Egyptian Trail, which would include storm drainage, sidewalks, roundabout surface, and pavement markings. The amount $781,000. It's up for the board's review and consideration.
I'd like a motion on this, please.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
2019-3.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Larry. We'll move on to old business. Do we have any old business? If not, any new business?
Can I just make one announcement?
You certainly may.
We've got there's a golf outing coming up on Friday, July 12th, 2019. It's going to be at Lincoln Oaks Golf Course. It's a 9 and dine and wine. So it's it starts at 5 p.m. It's an evening one. $50 per golfer, includes golf, 9 holes of golf with a cart, a specialty buffet, and a drink. And if you want to come for dinner and raffles, it's $25, and it's all to benefit to the American Cancer Society.
Thank you, Heidi.
It's a 9 and dine and wine.
9. Any other new business?
I have something to say. It's not necessarily new business, but just a reminder that we will be at Golf Vista this Saturday from 8 to 10 for the residents there with the village stickers.
Very good.
End of report.
Okay. Any other new business? If not, we'll move open to the public. Non-agenda items, please come forward.
Jim Dermody, 26057 Ruby Street. First of all, hats off to the Monee Police Department, Joliet Narcotics, State Police, and the other agencies involved in taking the troublemakers out of 5027 Cardinal Court. There's still some left. Now that it's been a year and we've had a shooting and a drug raid at this house, and so far we residents see nothing being done to get those people out of Monee. The owner, Mrs. McDonald, stood here a year ago in front of this board and claimed she had no knowledge of illegal activities going on at her rental property and that she was going to take care of it. Is that still her claim after an all-out drug raid at her rental property? She had repeatedly said how long it takes to evict tenants from rental property. Well, I can tell you it doesn't take a whole year. Many of us residents that reside around the rental property are convinced that the residents living there are her relatives, and she has absolutely no intention of getting them out of there. And we're also convinced that it's the drug money paying the rent. I personally witnessed numerous vehicles coming and going from that house on several occasions, some staying for only a short time. I've contacted Mrs. McDonald on several occasions to report cars gathering in rental property, and she told me she called the house to see what was going on, but I have no way of verifying that. We residents want to know what is going to be done to put us at ease, because the warm weather is here and that always brings trouble. I can tell you I have a perfect location for the new crime prevention camera. Right at the corner of Eagle and Cardinal Court would be a good location for it. So I don't know if the police department can, bring us any details on exactly what went on that quiet morning, Thursday morning.
Excuse me, before you step away,
I don't want.
did you want to say something?
I can speak to Ms. McDonald, and it's public record. The day after the raid, I did speak with her regarding the raid to find out what the disposition was of the renters. And she shared with me that she did end up in court with those folks, and the judge ruled in their favor because it was a burden on the rentor of that property to be evicted out of there based on the information that they had at the time. So she did go to a court, and the judge did rule in favor of the folks that are living there currently. I can't speak to details of my conversation with them during the raid, but I would hope that in the near future here that they won't be residents.
Okay.
I could say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other open to the public?
Norb Snow, Gulf Vista Estates. I feel like Don Quixote at times. But, I wrote everything down because I have a sequence of things there, and I hate rambling. I don't want my comments to reflect on our park manager. She can only deal with the budget that, she has to work with. I've referred to our golf courses and executive goat ranch and a field of dandelions. Equity Lifestyle area senior area manager was at our park last week. She spoke at a couple of events and took questions. At the second meeting, she took comments from residents. There were complaints about standing water and the drains not working. She also heard complaints about street lighting, road conditions, rent increases, and people renting homes. At the second meeting, she had the manager of the company that maintains our golf course and common grounds. I asked for the mic to ask him some questions, and I asked how many years he's been over there. He said 3. I said, I've worked at golf courses for 17 years, and we have 500 acres, and we don't have any dandelions. How come we have them? And he says, well, you have a full-time force. And when I asked him if that was what we needed, he had no answer. Then I asked about the greens. How come they don't have grass? He mentioned if you put down grass seed and it rains, it will wash away the seed. I don't know. I asked about the anthills on the greens. He said that if he sprays for anthills, he can't plant grass seed. So I said, are we stuck with anthills or no grass? No answer. I asked if he's going to aerate, sand, seed, and fertilize. He said that they did aerate. And I said that the ice pick that they use every now and then is not what they need. They need to take a plug out of ground and use a drag, break it up, and then seed and fertilize. He said that Medina uses the same aeration that he uses. I was going to say something about not using our greens and Medinas in the same context, but the senior manager yanked the mic out of my hand and ran off saying, we need to move on to another area. So I feel like I'm living in the old joke, the punchline of which is, my third husband was an Equity Lifestyle executive, and all he did was tell me how great everything was going to be. End of comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norm. Anyone else for open to the public?
My name is Ken Jager. I live at 25864 South Ridgeland Avenue. I received a certified letter from the village regarding a hearing next week, Wednesday. As far as erecting, one of the buildings wants to erect a 60-foot stack of some sort. And unfortunately, I can't make it next Wednesday. And I'm just wondering if the board would be willing to share as to what they're going to do in that building. What's the purpose of that stack? What's it going to be filtering out? Or refer me to somebody that I can talk to about it.
Yes, I can speak to that. The facility that is requesting the stack is what's called a made-on-demand facility, where they make and cut and print and bind books as well as other types of media. The stack is part of a dust collection system. It's high volume to collect dust particles from within the facility, and it moves it into a collection system at high volume. And the stack is used, because it is high volume, the stack is used to just keep the high flow air away from the buildings and moved up into the atmosphere. It will discharge nothing according to the manufacturer. Additionally, the developer has been informed of performance standards that the village does have within the municipal code. And those performance standards deal with a number of items to include noise levels, vibration levels, particulate disbursement levels. So they are fully aware of the parameters of which they need to live within should that be approved. But that is basically it. If you are interested in maybe speaking to someone from the developer point of view, I'm happy to provide you that information, contact information. We can talk right after the meeting here. But additionally, just for clarification, the public hearing is next Wednesday. It will be back before this board the following Wednesday. So the fourth Wednesday of the month, it will be right back here at this board.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else for open to the public?
Elizabeth Rakes, 6014 West Ford Court. I was reading on Facebook that a lot of the residents are asking for dirt for the kids to play in the baseball fields. And I was wondering, with all the new businesses, with Thornton's especially, they're going to have excess dirt that they'll have to pay to haul away, and maybe with the new dump truck that we purchased, we could get some of the new developments, if they have extra dirt, send the truck over there, get it filled up, and to keep the kids playing and not on video games. That's all. Maybe someone could do a little research and reach out to the businesses and ask if that's possible. Won't cost the village anything other than driving that truck over there to pick up some dirt and spread it out. Thank you.
Diana, would you like to have a comment on that?
Good evening. Although that's a very generous or great idea, the baseball fields and softball fields that we have do not take just dirt to go on the fields out of the ground. It's a special mix of sand and dirt kind of mix that goes into the fields so that it can dry up quickly, that it's safe for the kids, and it's designed just for baseball and softball fields. In order, just as an idea, just the one baseball field, the Bronco field, it does have a big bow in it because it hasn't been replaced since 2009.
When you say the Bronco field, real quick.
Baseball field.
Yeah, what?
The big one.
Which one is it?
The big one.
And way in the back.
Way in the
So
back,
I
yeah.
understand.
The other one is a softball field and it says Monsters on it. But I'll
Okay.
just use the Bronco. The big baseball field as a
Just trying to give the public opinion.
right. It's back there behind the Parks building. It has a big bowl in it because over time and wind and seasons, the dirt blows away. The last time it was filled was records that I can find is from 2009. Spoke with a gentleman who takes care of fields when I went to go pick up the quick dry, which we use to dry up the fields, and went through a lot of that this year. Just as a rough, what would it cost? And he knows the field, actually. He was the one that replaced it back in, or the dirt in 2009. Just to do that field alone would take 3 semi-trucks of this special mix, and just in the mix alone would be roughly about $20,000 to do one field. And as jaw-dropping as it is, that's kind of not that's not a crazy bid at all to do a baseball field. It does take a lot to do that. One thing that we're looking at is going for a grant, an OSLAW grant, coming up, but that takes a lot of work as well and time, which could help pay for the cost of these kinds of things. So, yes, we do need the dirt, but not that kind. But good idea. Any questions?
Thank you, Di.
Sure.
And thank you, Liz. Any other open to the public? If not, we have no executive session, so I would like a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you.